Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
And you're listening to How Many Fingers Am I Holding Up? The podcast. And this week we'll be reviewing 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
My God, are you done yet?
It's a long title.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the How Many Fingers Am I Holding Up podcast, featuring 2 guys getting whomped and reviewing movies in a weekly podcast form.
Whopped. Thank you to Daryl Norell on Facebook for that synonym suggestion. I like that one a real lot. Whomped.
As do I.
Wampa Stampa is what it makes me think of. It's the cheat code on Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, really?
Or was it Shadows of the Empire? Or
I have no idea what
the
you're talking
N64
about.
Star Wars video
No,
game?
you're right, it was, because, it's giving me
With
PTSD
Dash
a little
Rendar,
bit.
whatever his name was. You never played that?
Joe, get the fuck out of here.
You play the Battle of Hoth?
I was
from
playing
Empire Strikes
Sims
Back.
typing in Rosebud.
I was also
money.
Get them simoleons.
But let us delay no further, because I've been trying to get this next guest on our podcast for well over a year now. Please give it up for one of my oldest friends and collaborators?
Oh, we about to be.
Yeah. Amy Camacho!
Hello.
Oh. Mike has a hangover. I just really...
Just one more clap. Yeah, we're going to make this fun.
Yeah, we
I'm
are.
so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you
I
for
really
coming.
have been trying to be here for at least a year.
I'm trying to think of how to describe our
Well,
relationship.
you were on the football team. And
Yes.
I was a
you were
cheerleader.
Captain of the
Those who
cheerleader.
know Joe best are just chuckling right now. Imagining Joe in a football uniform.
Go on! I'm sorry, Amy, but I'm about to expose you for the fucking nerd that you are.
I don't give a shit.
Me too.
It's my past. I accept it.
So, quite the contradiction to what we were just talking about. I first met Amy in our high school's marching band, and I think
Shut the fuck up.
and I think Nick met you
Now
through.
I'm picturing you in the marching band uniform.
And I think Nick met you through our high school's AV club.
We called it TV Tech,
Oh,
okay?
okay, yeah,
And no
that
time
sounds
was
better. That
AV
sounds so
Club
much-
included.
But
Fucking
Amy was also the only girl that we knew that was interested in film, so we casted her in every sketch, music video, and web series that we shot that had a female role.
Why don't you roll the tape?
This is my first time meeting Amy, but I feel like I've already met her from seeing her in so many Dan and Joe skits.
Fuck. Damn it.
Music videos.
But then
don't
even
know how
years
I feel
later,
about
the working name for the female lead in our short film Less Than 3 was
yes.
Amy. We actually
Oh, shit.
until
Really?
just because I was always like, we'll probably use Amy, and then we
I'm the
cast-
only female you knew,
Yes,
so why not?
well into college, I was like, well, I did know this one girl, Amy, and then
I'm flattered.
and then we casted Allison, and we kept calling her Amy.
Amy. She appreciated that.
I was just watching this old Dan and Joe show skit. Amy had to endure this sketch.
Which one?
We wrote titled "Till Depth Do Us Part."
Oh, that was the best.
Where my character was this is something Amy had to sit through. It was just that we wrote where my character was attempting to compliment his girlfriend, who was Amy, on the depth of her character. But he kept mistakenly using the word with. So it was
I love my girlfriend's wit.
Yes, listeners at home, that was an actual sketch that people wrote, shot, edited, and posted on YouTube for the entire world
To be
see.
young again.
Is it still up?
So, it's
No,
I
no,
highly encourage you guys don't search that
No.
on YouTube. But yeah,
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
we've got some history.
Yeah.
And you also, we were just talking about this because we had a nice little catch up.
We did.
Why don't we hang out more? We had
I don't know.
We had like a whole bit going
I
before
know, we have
this.
such a
It was
rapport.
really great.
Mike, maybe someday you can get in on it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can only dream.
Mike's like, just like fucking kill me and get this over with. And me and Amy are like,
You hungover?
you fucking hungover loser. didn't mean that.
I love inside jokes. Love to be a part of one
I
someday.
think we just made
But you were part of the industry.
I did, yeah. I played the game.
yeah.
I played the game for a
You
little
worked
bit.
at Lion TV or
Yes,
working on TV
Lion
shows
Television.
on ID
I was-
and
yes.
Net Geo.
True crime, and then like Deadly Animals. And then, like I said, that one show about puppies.
Wait, is Deadly Animals like the top 10 deadliest
It was
ones?
World's Deadliest.
Like where they do the countdown from like 1 to 10?
You know what? No, not that one.
all right.
This one, they tried to
That was
make
a show
like.
that I liked.
There's a lot of deadly animal shows out there, Mike.
I think that's Deadliest Animals.
Deadliest.
No, but
yes.
we did like you had to kind of make a story out of an entirely clip-based show. So I was like the one finding the clips and then trying to write a little like story out of it. Like if there was a clip about a mother penguin and a baby penguin, like you gave the penguins names and we're like, this is what's going on. But really it was like 10 different scenes mashed together into one because all baby penguins look the same.
Right.
So yeah, I left, obviously.
racist.
Why would I stay doing that forever? But yeah, I'm here now.
And we're back. Sorry about that, folks. Some technical difficulties have returned to the podcast after we had smooth sailing for a while, but they're back.
We did. Today is quite the day. This episode was supposed to start recording at 4:30, I think.
It's
and
6:43 now.
Is it?
Yeah. So
We got a good thing going though.
We do.
Yeah, we
do.
warmed up.
We had the energy's.
Energy's high right now.
I was about to say the energy's
Energy's
flatlining.
pretty
It's dead.
Flatlining at the top.
Yeah.
Because it's peaked and it can't go any higher.
I'm so alive right now. My heart's flatlining is like a really good place.
But you didn't miss much. We opened up the beers and started drinking them. We're drinking Great Lakes Brewing Company's Burning River Pale Ale.
Let me open that.
You also missed
Oh wow,
my beer
authentic.
Well, yeah.
erupting like a volcano
Yeah.
all over the table.
That was actually pretty good timing.
It's pretty good though. I don't think we got to that in the first time we talked about that. But
No,
No,
just turn it over.
no.
It's a pale ale. I don't know what else to say.
It's not bad. It's all right for being a beer I'm drinking while I'm hungover.
Yeah.
It's not like
Oh,
too
are you
strong.
hungover? Are you hungover?
Oh, you fucking hung over?
Oh, that's right. That's what we missed. This bit.
Oh no!
Guess what?
Did we miss all? We'll get back to the bits.
Yeah.
Everyone listening's like, no.
they
already did it.
Please don't go back.
Well, here it
Have I
is
told
one
you
more
about
time.
my girlfriend? She's looking at the Great Wall on Wikipedia.
Great Wall now.
Oh
Great
shit!
Wall of China.
You know what
Another
that
wall? There's two men involved.
He's brought up.
That means she's pregnant by both of them.
Fucking bitch! I'm sorry.
Oh, all right.
I didn't know the character was going to take me there.
Characters evolve every day.
They do.
You gotta evolve with them.
I'm glad I screamed that after I was like, we're having 2 girls on this week. Like, it's not just white guys.
Oh yeah, I'm also Mexican too, so that should
People
help.
of
Your,
color.
that should help your
We can
diversity.
check that off our list.
Yeah. I'm also 4% African, but some people don't like to hear that sometimes. So I don't
They don't
always
like
bring
to
it
hear
up.
that?
No.
I don't want to hear that.
I wish
I
you
mean-
hadn't told me that.
I mean, look at me. Look at me.
Where did you find that out from? Did you do
Ancestry DNA.
you didn't do 23andMe.
No, it's too expensive.
I don't understand the name 23andMe. What is
You
this?
got 23 chromosomes.
chromosomes on one side.
Yeah.
There's 46
Because
chromosomes,
it sounds
right?
like a
Yes.
show on like Lifetime or
Yeah,
something.
because it only.
I'm 23 and me.
I got 23 kids and me. I gotta take care of fucking 23 kids and me when I find the chance.
But then there's like a sassy housekeeper, so it keeps things interesting. No, yeah, they only test your dad's side, I think. So it does
Really?
the 23 on your dad's side.
What's
And
the reasoning for that?
someone will correct you, don't worry. So
Yeah, okay. I believe it.
it's gonna be me. I'm gonna Google it later.
Did you have to do like a swab kind of thing? Like, didn't you have to?
Yeah, no, all you do is
Scrape
spit.
your-
You just spit in the thing.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if
Fair
you want to
enough.
get graphic, it only took like two spits.
Okay.
And then you said
All right. There's some viewers passing out at how graphic that was right now. They're like, oh, fucking 2 spits.
yeah, they
One spit was
recommend.
enough. God damn it.
And then she spit 2 times.
You heard it here.
Sorry, I'm done with this podcast forever.
Check
Yeah.
out those metrics.
All right.
Is the computer still holding up?
It is.
All right.
For now,
good.
so
Well,
let's
then
keep going.
Let's
Yeah.
dive into some real quick Joe notes.
You want me to give that IMDb description? Have you forgotten
I would
the way
love-
we do this podcast?
You know what? I would love that.
Really in character
What a,
right
what a
now.
treat.
A mother personally challenges the local authorities to solve her daughter's murder when they fail to catch the culprit. Not bad.
That is a plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
A plot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I don't know how do you pronounce his name? Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri is directed by Martin McDonough.
I think so.
Yes, I think so.
McDonough. All right, so
Marty.
Martin McDonough.
McDonut.
It's McNutty.
Oh shit. Now we're flatlining.
In a good place. On a very high frequency, I'm flatlining. Yeah, you're still dead. Technically. I don't know how you're talking. Come on, guys. Just volley the ball up in the air. Somebody keep this bit up.
No.
Yes,
no,
and.
no.
Yes, and I am dead.
Yes, and what else were you going to say before you started that bit, Joe?
Yes, and throwing it back to you.
And McDonough, go.
That was a little bit about bits.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we got more.
I'm cutting myself off. I was going to be like, no, stop
took
it.
so long?
I'm cutting it off. So Martin McDonough has written and directed his Academy Award-winning short film Six Shooter in Bruges, which won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, and Seven Psychopaths. In addition to being a screenwriter and film director, Martin McDonough has also been described as one of the most important living playwrights in Ireland. Yeah, that's a thing.
Wow.
And Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, screened in the main competition of the 74th Venice International Film Festival and played at the 2017 Toronto Film Festival, where it won the People's Choice Awards. The Teen Choice Awards. Martin McDonough got slimed. He got gacked. I don't
All
think
the kids
anyone
are like, who's this?
Who's this old schmuck getting slimed? Bring out the Olsen twins. But the younger ones. I'm sorry, they're
so-
aging. We can't.
They're so ragged now. Of all the people.
Yeah. But Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. I think we should just call it Three Billboards from now.
I've been going
Yeah.
with three Bilbies.
Three Billies.
Three Bilbies.
Three Bilbies.
I was calling it Three Bridges earlier, so it's
Three. Because she rented out three bridges during the film, right, Amy?
yeah, that's
Yes,
it. That's it.
Okay. But it stars.
It's a bit.
Okay. It stars Frances McDormand, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, John Hawkes, and Peter Dinklage. We've got some other people in there too, but that's all the Wikipedia said. So
That's all that matters then.
Yeah. So let me just click back into Berlin Wall on Wikipedia.
Oh, no.
She fucking cheated on me. I fucking know it. Remember when I said that Suburbicon looked like George Clooney doing his best Coen Brothers impression?
Oh, shit.
Three Billboards is kind of the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's got like Frances McDormand, which is Ethan Coen's wife, is the lead. Carter Burwell does the score, and it really borrows a lot from that sort of black comedy drama genre that the Coen brothers, thank you, are famous for. I don't know, and it wasn't even as much of a dark comedy as I wanted it to be, or black comedy as I wanted it to be.
I feel like it just didn't juggle the two well. Like there's just kind of like two halves of the movie rather than being blended very well.
Yeah.
Can I just say this has a fantastic trailer?
Oh yeah,
It
I was
does.
super
Trailer's
excited for this
outstanding.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't watch it until today because obviously being in Pennsylvania, there's only like 2 theaters that will play this movie. So I wasn't planning on seeing it. And yeah, the trailer looked phenomenal. And then we got in the theater.
There's a, what's it called? Amy was telling me about the theater that they went to, they have a special version of 3D.
You mean the Big D?
And they refer to it as the Big D. So everyone's going to go see all like the animated films in the Big D.
Someone please tell me if you're listening out there and you have a Big D too. Please let us know. Because I don't think it's a real thing.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's...
Amy wants you to let her know if
I
you
gotta
have a
know about that Big D.
Yeah, I don't know. On Saturday, we're going to go take the kids to see the Big D.
Oh, boy.
Just let me know.
And then later that night, I'm going to let my wife see it, too.
Oh, an innuendo.
Yeah, but I got to have a talk with her. I saw her Wikipedia.
No.
So search history.
No.
Fucking
And we're back.
Never left.
Man, I just, like, if we can just talk about this, like, a little broadly, like, the thing that bothers me the most about this film is that Sam Rockwell's character gets, like, a redemption arc that's horrifyingly, like, undeserved.
Yeah.
What was that? It was, we see Sam Rockwell's character, like, brutalize, like, an undeserving victim, and... we also hear reference of him torturing somebody in custody in the police office. Is it police office? Police
station.
Yeah, police station, because of like the color of their skin. And I was like, and then at the end he's a good guy? Like there was nothing really.
Yeah.
He's also presented to us at first as kind of like this like, oh, he's just like a harmless, folksy kind of country bumpkin, kind of like he don't know better, and it's just kind of like, no, somebody's got to be fucking held accountable.
Yeah,
for what.
exactly.
And it makes the character of Woody Harrelson a fucking shithead too, because he's like, no, keep him on, and he's always like, oh, alleged torture, and I was like, that's not a punchline. That's fucking horrifying.
No, yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of problematic stuff with this, and it was surprising just based on it having like a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes and being like really well received, and really well received. Obviously at Toronto, getting the Teen Choice Award.
Yes.
On Slime Time Live.
Why'd they bring out the slime for this movie? That's what I want to know.
I think they should not have brought out the slime.
Only bring it out for the very best of films.
Yeah.
And also, don't comment in the comment. We get a lot of like really great SoundCloud comments now. Of people are like, "You're wrong," and I love that. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
Because I also love commenting back. But like the shit that happens to Sam Rockwell's character, like the things that happen to him, those are not consequences for his actions. Sorry, they're just not.
Well, it's just he also just seems to do a very sharp turn, and it just didn't seem natural. It didn't seem possible even.
Just this entire film's point of view is so muddy. Like art is sort of like this moral medium, and we're supposed to have somebody to like line up behind. And even Frances McDormand's character isn't that person. Like sometimes the film sides with her, and sometimes it's like, bitch, you wrong. Like you're hurting everyone around. You're hurting literally everybody in town.
Yeah.
Like everyone you have come into contact
I severely dislike when movies kind of take that sort of view of like, well, life's messy and life's not like black and white, and they kind of use it as like a crutch rather than like taking a stance, having a concise, clear plot in your movie that doesn't just like jump all over the place and do whatever it feels like.
Like he didn't really know how to do like anti-hero, or
I didn't find myself really rooting for anyone in this movie.
She's not like Walter White, really.
No.
No.
I don't know.
I think they have this thing where they think that like vulgarity is both like a punchline and like witty. So like she says a lot of stuff where she's like, hey, fuck nuts or whatever. Yeah. And like it's just like it's not witty, it's not endearing or charming at all. It's just like a person being vulgar, and it doesn't really make me want to root for her. Right. It doesn't even really make me laugh because it's not a punchline.
Also like the slipper bit that she did. Like she's trying to do bits now. Too.
Yeah,
she did that slipper thing.
She's stealing her shit.
Yeah, so she's
moving like these two bunny
back.
slippers, and he's like, I saw that you were searching for
She said something like
the Berlin Wall on Wikipedia.
Oh my god!
You fucking cheating on me?
Yeah, I'm cheating on you.
She does some sort of internal monologue with the slippers.
What was that supposed to be?
I didn't mind that. I thought that was, I guess,
I think it was just supposed to be quirky. Like,
yeah. It was. I don't know what it was supposed to mean.
That's why kind of like what you're saying. It was just like quirky for the sake of being quirky.
Yeah. Same thing with him doing the where he's always listening to like the pink headphones and like dancing.
But Chiquitita was pretty. When's the last time you heard that song? Yeah, that's a deep cut by ABBA.
Yeah, with his like Beats headphones. Like I was just kind of like,
get Beats headphones.
I know. From? I was like, those. I'd love to buy those to like do like my runs in, but they're like $200, $300, $400 headphones. Like, why does he?
He had like a Walmart rodeo shirt on. So like, where are you gonna get Beats?
Right. It was also very like Brad Pitt and Burn After Reading kind of, where he's like, you know.
Yeah. Another Coen Brothers. Rip off.
And granted, like this film's inciting incident it's Frances McDormand. I mean, this whole film starts out, I don't want to get too bogged down by plot specifics or whatever, just because I'd love to talk more openly about this film or more broadly about this film. But obviously, if you've seen the trailer, if you've seen anything about this film, there's the inciting incident is that what's her name? Frances McDormand's daughter was like brutally raped and murdered and even like burned alive, kind of.
And raped while dying.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yes. And that's what the first billboard says. And I feel like this film kind of drafts off like the emotional energy that carries with it. Like, I don't know. It's not completely this film's fault because that's just, you're choosing to do that. And that's like a really... I mean, those are murder, rape, fucking even just burning alive. It's just like it's very visual. There's even a picture of it in like the police file that they're like, look at this. Again, it's not the fault. It's not their fault that you can have an emotional reaction to that, but it's also just feels disingenuous at times that it's kind of like, again, it's drafting. It's kind of gaining energy, like narrative momentum from like how horrible that crime is.
Yeah. I actually I really liked the one flashback that they used in this movie with the daughter.
I didn't like that.
Well, I didn't like the fact. I didn't like the fact that they only used that one. Yeah. It's like if you're going to use flashbacks, then use them and let's keep going back to them. Especially when it's about a story about like a girl who was raped while dying and burned alive, and like
who was your daughter?
Give us more insight into her, and then maybe like what life was like, in the hours after finding out about that. And
can I say that I actually liked that scene, and what's his name, Lucas Hedges, is that his name?
Yeah.
Who the damn is that?
He's the son. Oh. He was also in Manchester by the Sea, and again
Lady Bird.
Is he?
Last week or a week or two ago, he's in Lady Bird. That we'll review. I don't know when this is coming out.
Lady Bird was last week. You should have listened to it already.
Look at our Christmas sweaters. It should be like Christmas around
Christmas morning.
Help me out, guys.
Yuletide.
But I loved like his stuff in that scene. I love Frances McDormand. I like the daughter again. Like if maybe the scene was cut out just because it's the one scene with her, and now you're like, oh, now I have a visual kind of, where they kind of purposely like to make a lot of stuff abstract in this film, kind of just like, oh, he did torture, like a person of color, or oh, she did get like murdered and raped, but we don't see that. We don't get a Manchester by the Sea kind of flashback, kind of. So it was kind of odd that we saw this and we only see her in like this one scene, and then like right before she leaves, she's like, you can't have the car. She's like, I hope I get raped, and she's like, I hope you get raped too. And I was kind of like, that's a little on the nose, kind of like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why they're going back to that scene. Is she's in the room thinking like, what was the last thing I said to my daughter before she got raped? Was I hope you do get raped.
That's too ironic, though.
But I'm also
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, I didn't really, because of course that's going to be the thing that you think about for the rest of your life. If that is like, what if they don't even know if it's the last thing that she said?
But fight before they left, like like it wouldn't be like, I hope you are raped while murdered and burned alive.
Well, do we know that do we know that was like the last time she saw her daughter ever?
Yeah, because she was walking without. She didn't give her the car, so she was walking.
Oh, so she was walking.
That's the other part that she feels guilty about. Is if I had given her the car, then she might not have been raped and murdered.
It definitely wasn't like this was the day,
right?
But I think it was definitely hinting at it.
I think it was the day.
I mean,
I think that's why they're showing it.
Right.
That's what I got from the context. It's like,
No, yeah.
She's in her room. She's thinking of the last time she saw her daughter.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying.
And if it's the last
Which,
time,
yeah,
You
it's
have-
a
you
little
have to
on
make
the
a-
head.
she
you
lives
have
at
to make
home.
a-
She would have come home that night.
Yeah.
Right.
If
You
it hadn't
have to make a
happened, so.
little jump. Oh, does she say before she like goes into the flashback like something about when's the last time I saw her? Or
No.
No, I mean, I think that's
okay,
just something
it's
that's
just-
being inferred
it's a
from
narrative
context.
jump.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be like, of course that's it. It would be stupid if it wasn't really. But yeah,
Well, given what she said in that scene,
Mm-hmm.
and the son was there to hear it, it's kind of like I was waiting for him to really explode on his mom
Mm-hmm.
and remember that time that was the last thing that she said to her. But I don't really know what to think of the son in like all
Yeah, their
of his-
relationship was strange in this movie.
Yeah.
it was also like he's like fucking like I mean I guess he's like again trying to emotionally support his mom, but he's also kind of like this punching bag at school.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that just never comes into play really. It's just kind of he never like lashes out like he's like, you know, like you lost your daughter, but I lost like my fucking sister,
Exactly.
and now I'm paying for like your recklessness or your fucking weird misplaced anger.
Yeah, there's a lot of like emotional like points that I feel like we didn't really check off that should have been checked off on in this movie, and then they were replaced with like scenes that I don't know why they're in there, like the horrible CGI deer scene in this movie.
Yeah, that was weird.
I wrote down CGI deer.
Oh,
yeah, it was bad.
Even Frances McDormand, and I mean, you guys might disagree with me. She's like favored like heavily to win Best Actress this year, and in my opinion, I feel like I wouldn't mind if she was nominated, not at all. But I kind of think she gives like a one-note performance
Yes.
this entire film, and that's not her fault. She was asked to give a one-note performance this entire film, but I was just kind of like, is that the best that we can do for like Best Actress this year? Kind of. We'll see how Sally Hawkins, or who's in
Yeah, Sally Hawkins.
yeah, the color
And
Shape of
then
Water or whatever.
Saoirse Ronan
Saoirse.
is supposed to be nominated
Oh my
as
god,
well.
is that how you say that? Shit.
I keep
Just
calling
read
it,
that today on
Oh,
Google.
yeah, yeah.
I keep calling it Cersei in my head.
It looks like it should be
Yeah.
like Circe.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it should be like Seo or C.
Seosin. But no,
I
yeah.
just got it. Yeah.
It took you a minute, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I've been reading your fucking credit card bills, and you're going to this guy's house. Who are you paying? His name is Caesar Salad, and he costs like, and you give him like $10 during your lunch break
I
at
don't know.
work.
I gotta go
Why does he
somewhere else if
accept
it
credit
seems $10.
And why does your bank put what you? No,
That's-
yeah, no, it's
back.
getting a little too meta. Like,
Yeah.
the bit's flatlining,
Yeah.
not in a good way.
the bit's flatlining at the highest capacity, which means it's still alive, and I think I should continue that.
Wait, speaking of Flatline, to go off what you were saying about her
Go for it.
performance, there was just the one other scene that really stuck out to me where she did anything else other than that straight performance, and when she got coughed on by Woody.
I did really
And
like
then
that
she just
scene.
like
Yeah,
completely
same.
like came back to humanity, kind of, and they both did to each other.
See,
And that was a
like,
great, quick, sweet.
That scene I liked because it was kind of showing that, like, I think it was embodying what they were really trying to get across with this movie is that,
Yeah.
like, nothing's black and white.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody's angry all the time or insensitive all the time. You know, it's kind of just you're on the spectrum somewhere and you're flipping back and forth, you know, based on the situation. And I liked seeing her, like, you know, in the middle of this fight, she still has some humanity to be like, oh, this guy's dying. Like, this is more important than what I'm going through right now. Like,
I didn't like
this
that
guy
she
needs
was like,
attention.
"Oh, honey," like kind of like it was.
See,
like
that's
a
what I
little
liked the
I
most
did,
about it
yeah,
is that
I
it was
liked
like
it.
that kind of switch to, like, you know, just put that shit behind me. Because I think that is kind of accurate to what you would do. Like, you know, you would be in this argument with someone and then you're kind of like, oh, fuck the argument. Like, this guy's vomiting blood.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
no, definitely. I just think that
Unless
was
you
like
wouldn't, Joe.
no. Hey, I got feelings. I got feelings too.
Got feelings about Berlin Wall.
You know, like who's this Berlin
Who
Wall
is
guy?
Berlin?
God,
I just wish you would Google me sometimes, you know?
I just wish you would search me on Wikipedia.
No, don't do that on YouTube.
Yeah,
Please.
Till depth.
No.
Do us part on YouTube. Oh man, it's like it's so weird to go back 10 years. Like you can see like lines.
Oh, God.
You can see like lines at the bottom of like the YouTube player is so much bigger than like
Oh, the letterboxing, yeah.
than the dimensions or ratio aspect, whatever, of the film or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can also see, like, it's so weird to watch, like, DV tapes now.
Oh,
Like now that we've gone
Oh.
completely digital, like, it's, like, grainy in, like, this horizontal way. Like, it's very strange.
We've aged. That's
Yeah.
what that means.
We have.
We're not eternal. Mm-mm. Well, we tried.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. The impression that I got out of the trailer that I really wanted, or I think also out of the first like a little bit into the beginning of the film, is that like Frances McDormand's grief is coming out as rage. And I felt like, oh, that's interesting, kind of. But yeah, then there's a scene very early in the film where Woody Harrelson's character visits Frances McDormand's character right after the billboards go up, and two things are established. Frances McDormand. Essentially, we find out that like her anger is misplaced because he's like, we did everything we could, and she's like, well, why don't you have like, you know, like a fucking like blood, you know, bank for like every man in the world or something, like just and he's like, what do you want me to do, kind of like, he's like, I would love to, you know, solve your murder or whatever. And B, we find out that he is terminally ill, which is again this is very misplaced. And she's also like torturing the police for like the wrong reasons, I feel like, too.
Well, like I think there is like an idea of what they wanted to get across, and I don't think they really succeeded at getting across. And like that idea, I mean, I think other people got it because I've read it in reviews, and that's kind of what the whole synopsis sort of makes it out to be, is that like, or the trailer rather, like she is mainly mad because like, yeah, like I'm sure they did a lot in the investigation, but now they're out there like torturing black people and not working on like finding this thing. Like that's what I kind of thought there was going to be more of in this movie, of like, you know, kind of a critique of, you know, police forces today through the lens of this specific, you know, fictional instance.
Because she says that once, and they put that in the trailer, and you're kind of like, oh, okay.
This is going to be a
this
big
is
thing.
going to be, a theme, but it's really not.
No.
And it's just so strange. We'll get into the racism of it.
Well, it's just like, it reminded me of Detroit in a way.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like we talked about in that episode, how like yeah, technically like police brutality is relevant. You know, what you're showing in that story is relevant to what's going on today. But the best way to, you know, shed a light on that is not to be like, here's these crazy maniacal cops who are doing things that you could never imagine anyone ever doing. Because it puts blame on the individual cop rather than like the system that allows everything to happen. So in this case, we have the Dixon character, who I like as a character. I just don't like the way he fits into what they're trying to accomplish. But him, like, you know, throwing this dude out the window and like beating the crap out of him and like, you know, torturing, like actually torturing like black people and stuff, like that takes it a little too far, to the point where it just makes him look like a crazy cop, and it doesn't look like a system that's flawed in any way.
Right. And the film, I don't know, like, again, I think you were saying this, or one of you was saying this earlier, but
you can't tell us apart.
Yeah, I'm sex blind.
I can't see sex. Porn is really boring for me. It's just all blurry.
Every time I have sex, I'm just like,
I set you up. I'm sorry.
yeah.
It's like watching a Girls Gone Wild commercial.
I go blind.
Everything's blurred out.
But the film relied.
Why?
There's like this kind of like black comedy aspect, and I thought it was going to rely a lot on that, but it really doesn't. There's like really a few jokes that are kind of like, oh wow, that's dark, laugh at it, kind of. A lot of it just relies on, even more, I think, than Daddy's Home 2. I think this relies on politically incorrect humor, is our last episode. Well, a few episodes ago. Like, the N-word is literally used as a punchline like twice in this movie, and it's just, I was just like,
and it's Frances McDormand's character that says it too.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not funny. Like, or even like or just like, not humor, but just like weird things that are happening. Like Frances McDormand's employer, black woman, is arrested for drug possession. Nice. by Sam Rockwell's character out of spite toward Frances McDormand's character, and she gets out of jail like days or maybe even weeks later to help everyone like put the billboards back up, just because that's what's happening in the movie. And she's like, "Hey, what's up, y'all? Like, I'm out of jail." Like,
I'm out.
She's not like, "Hey, what the fuck? I was in jail for a few days."
Thank you for bringing that up.
She's like, "I got a taxi from jail, and now I'm here to help you."
I think her getting arrested was supposed to be him. Because he has the conversation with his mother about, like, you know, well, does she have any friends that you can maybe go after? And it's supposed to be that. But they kind of just, like, they send her to jail and then they forget about her. And we don't have, like, Frances McDormand, like, going to visit her or appealing to get her out of jail in any way and stuff like that. And
Sam Rockwell's like, "Yeah, no, I told the judge to take extra time and all this other stuff." And then she gets out of the taxi cab, and I think there's even, like, a throwaway line of, like, "Yeah, girl, they threw the whole thing out." And it's kind of like, well, that doesn't make sense.
She's like, they wrote out the paperwork wrong.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, what? Also, Woody Harrelson's replacement at the police station is a black guy who's
Lester,
who's literally But
wait, how do I know him?
The Wire.
Oh my God, stupid. Yes.
But his casting or his race is literally just shorthand for his moral authority. The reason he's black is just to contrast like everybody in the police station. Like he doesn't do anything after he's hired besides like fire Dixon for something that's fucking outrageous. Like he witnesses something totally outrageous. Like,
and then like to jump a little bit further ahead, like Dixon has this kind of like 180 degree like turn of character that the police chief is not privy to. Like he's not witnessing this change of character happen, and then he's just immediately like, "Oh, hey Dixon, you did good work there." Like, but it's not the guy.
When he brings him into the office, he should be like, "Hey, you're like an ex-police officer who assaulted somebody in a bar, and it wasn't the right person. We should fucking arrest you." Like you're fucking.
While we're on a tear with stuff like this, the thing that really made me mad is that like he was there when the police station burned down. But they didn't arrest him for it, even though he was just recently fired from the police station. Like, no wonder they didn't catch the murderer if these are the type of cops that work there.
He lets him into his office when he was the one who fired him. He's clearly unstable.
Yeah.
Alone? Never. No. I would bring in like 5 guys with me.
Why is he allowed to go into the police station after hours?
I mean, that is more like, I got that because that was just kind of like small town policing. I think like it's a little less or a little less formal.
But no, it makes it look... I don't know. I'm still on a fucking tear about like the weird racism in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
This film takes place in Missouri, where real fucking police brutality takes place. Ferguson, Missouri. Heard of it, y'all? And at least those officers have some sort of narrative where it was kind of like, "Oh, I felt unsafe," kind of. Like we watch fucking Dixon brutalize a character because he's emotional, you know, like he's acting from his heart, kind of. Like it's so much like weirder, and you know, and I don't know. I also hate that. Like it was cool, but I also hate that big set piece where he does brutalize the advertising guy because it's set to some sort of indie song that is intentionally put there by the filmmaker to be like, hey, he's going through a really rough time. Like he just lost his mentor, his father figure, and this music, you know, justifies his rage and tries to make you feel sympathetic toward him, kind of, you know? And I was just kind of like, this is a fucking guy who did nothing, and he's fucking beating the shit out of him, throwing him out of the window, fucking bashing his fucking assistants
what song
in the
was
head.
playing
That was
during
rough.
I don't know. It was just indie song, and it was like indie song that was just kind of like sad stuff, you know. It was just kind of like
for some reason in my head I'm picturing it to Dropkick Murphys.
Oh no,
I thought it was some kind of like angry song.
That's how it looked, but
it should have been.
Yeah.
Like it should have been like, this is a guy in blind rage, but instead it was just kind of like, he's got feelings, and that's why he like hurts people.
Was there like a fast aggressive song playing when she was throwing the Molotov cocktails? Maybe.
I think so.
I remember there being a weird music choice at one point.
He was
that's
listening
what
in his
he's
earbuds.
listening to. It's what, good call.
It wasn't ABBA. I know that.
There's just, I don't know. And from... Sorry, I have 2 more things. There's just so much morally wrong with this film, where I was telling Amy earlier, like where like a wife beater or like domestic abuse and a racist cop or like police brutality are just treated as like these generic antagonist or bad guys. Like there's nothing, like you put that in your fucking film, dude, you better resolve something about either of these people. And from what I've seen from interviews of McDonough, like he's not particularly familiar with like the physics of racism in America, nor does he seem like interested in learning about it. Like he has like a dual citizenship in like Ireland and like England or something. And he said something like during like his interview, he's like, well, you know, like America's no more racist than any other country. And he's like, he's just like, that's fucking so dismissive. And that's not like the point. There's like rudimental like dynamics of what happens between like a black man and a white officer who has like an open history of like police brutality. It's just kind of like, fuck you, racist pig. Like that wouldn't fucking happen in real life. And it's just like, it's like, if you don't fucking care about the politics in America, don't make a fucking film about that. Like that would be like somebody making like, I don't know, like a film about in America, or that'd be like an American filmmaker making making a film in the United Kingdom, and like it was heavily involved in like Brexit, but like they didn't really know much about it. Like, you know, it's just like, don't fucking involve domestic abuse and police brutality in the American setting if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And don't use that as, they were just both used as like quirky details, you know? I don't know.
I mean, the abuse was...
There's a lot of weird stuff that was used as a punchline in this movie that I wasn't totally comfortable with. Like
everything with Peter Dinklage.
The domestic abuse scene that you're talking about was uncomfortable. Like I didn't mind like them showing domestic abuse in this, but I didn't like when they turned it into a punchline with like... him when Lucas Head just comes up behind his father with the knife, and like it's really intense. Like, you know, he's standing up to his father, and then like the girl walks in and it's like, oh, I had to like use the bathroom.
That bitch. Oh my God.
And then they just immediately like they just start picking up after that, like because she walked in, and like it didn't feel real at that point.
Well, I think. Sorry, you can keep going.
Why are all younger and attractive girls like her, the ad guy's secretary? Why are all younger and attractive girls ditzy?
Oh my God,
like,
that's literally my other biggest problem.
So glad you brought that up.
Weird and fucking sexist.
Well, and they just do this weird thing where like they create this divide where there's smart people in this movie and then there's dumb people, and if they're dumb, they're really fucking dumb in this movie.
Unbelievably dumb.
Dixon, they make like really dumb in this movie for like the first like hour and a half of it. And then when he kind of has his like turn to the good side, he sort of becomes smarter and does some stuff that's like uncharacteristically smart for him. And I didn't understand that switch in character. Like where you're going to have him be like the butt of jokes and punchlines because he's so dumb. And now he's like, oh, I can think to like scratch this guy's face to get like DNA and like...
It was genius.
And put everything together. Like it just didn't, it seemed out of character for him based on how smart it was.
Right.
And then the other characters were like this girl, the young girlfriend, were like they were funny, but they weren't a humor that really fit with this movie. Like I do think she gave a good comedic performance in that role.
My theater loved her,
but it just seemed like it was for a different movie that was happening, and it was so over the top, and like because there's so many other like real grounded performances in this. Like as much as I don't like some of the writing decisions, I do think Sam Rockwell's performance is amazing in this, and I do like Frances McDormand's performance in this. I think she does show a lot of the nuance of rage and grief throughout her role in this. But then to just have some of these more kind of like caricature characters like her, Peter Dinklage, I was not really a fan of his character in this.
Was he just doing like Mick whatever his name is?
Who?
The director, McDonough. Was he just doing him like a favor just because like he was in Bruges or whatever?
I don't know what that was.
I might have liked working with him, and you know.
Yeah, no. But I feel like this is
it sucks. It must suck to be a little person, and every time you get cast in any role, it has to do with you being like a little person. Like there's never any role that's just like he's just another guy. And I kind of thought they were going to go for that because they didn't really bring it up at first.
Right.
And then it just turned like that was kind of like his point was like him being at the dinner table was very uncomfortable, because that felt like a visual punchline of like. Oh, she's dating a little
man
person.
Wants to take a big lady on a date.
Yeah, like how dare he?
She also wore like her like mechanic jumpsuit to
Yeah.
this fancy dinner.
But it was also like trying to put her in the most like uncomfortable position. Like, oh man, like what if your ex-husband, who's now dating like a younger and attractive girl, saw you at the restaurant with a little man? How
Oh my
embarrassing.
God.
I was like, suck a fucking dick, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a lot. I didn't like seeing Peter Dinklage's heart broken. So
There was
But and then they showed it as like a punchline too, because then
Exactly.
he's like crying like, I didn't have to hold that ladder for you.
And
Like,
then
weak
I leave the
punchline,
movie
weak
feeling
to
bad
use
for him
that as the
still.
punchline.
yeah.
Was there a longer cut of this film where a lot of like the random characters that just kind of roll into this movie like had richer roles? Like
Like the deer.
There's so many
CGI
characters that show up that have like unearned dramatic moments
Yeah.
and then just fucking disappear. I was just kind of like the one that really bugs me. I mean, since I feel like we're now in like the back end of this review, is the guy who fucking like rolls into town, who's like a figure of menace, who's just kind of like goes into McDonald's
Francis McDonald.
Francis McDonald Burger King's
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Wendy's,
She's winning an Oscar.
like into her place of work or whatever, and it was just kind of like, whoa, what was that? I bet I'm gonna find out about this later. Nope.
What are our thoughts?
That was I don't understand that like
I don't understand that entire character
because I don't understand it either. Like either I don't understand it if he's the guy that did it, and I don't understand it if he's not. Like
Yeah.
if you like, is he just like siding with people who rape and burn people, and he's like offended? Like,
Yeah.
stop trying to catch people
Yeah.
from
mean,
my fucked up
is-
club that I'm in. Like,
Yeah,
Right,
this is
yeah.
my deep conspiracy theory.
Okay.
When the new police chief was like, no, it's not him. He was not in the country. He was blah blah blah. I was like, was he though? I was still kind of like, I don't know. He's like an army boy. Maybe they were trying to protect him.
did the chief
'Cause
say he
he's
was
just-
army or?
No,
Yeah, he
he
was-
said special forces or something.
He was stationed.
Yeah, he
in
was
Iraq.
stationed-
No, like
in
was the
Iraq.
chief from in the army military?
No.
No, but he was at least
But he
law enforcement.
Yeah, he
I
was
don't
looking
know.
up where he was.
It's a fucking boys club.
That's
I don't know.
Really, that's super. Like, I don't even think of that as an option because that's very hard to lie about. Is like,
Yeah.
I wasn't in the country because I was serving our country. Like, you know,
Right.
like, that's incredibly complicated to lie about, especially to police. Maybe these police it's a little easier, but like, I was just kind of like, oh, it's not him, and like. When that whole thing started happening with Sam Rockwell, and you know, it was just like Woody Harrelson wrote in one of his notes to her, and he was like, you know, somebody usually brags about it 5 years later in a bar when they're drunk, and then that starts happening in a bar, and Sam Rockwell is on his fucking redemption arc, and he scratches him and gets the DNA, and I was like, I really hope it also doesn't end like this, because this is like so clean and weird. And then when they're like, sorry, that's not the guy, like, I was like, okay, maybe there's still something to save from this film and they're going in a different direction. But it just kind of like, after that, there's no more revelations. Like, it was just kind of,
we never find out who did it. That's what I mean. We're like, yeah, like in a lot of times in real life, we don't always find out what happens.
Yeah.
But then why am I watching the movie if we don't find out?
Also, can
Like,
we just-
if you're not really going to explore like police brutality in a meaningful
Yeah.
way, if you're not really going to teach us anything about grief, like it was just kind of a movie where like things happened,
Right.
and like it was supposed to be funny because they were using the F word or calling someone a midget or calling someone the N word. Like there just wasn't a whole lot of wit or charm to this movie that I thought there was going to be based on the trailer, because they kind of cherry picked a lot of the lines that like actually do work in this movie.
they cherry pick every single action set piece too.
Yeah.
There was no surprise of like anything that happened. Amy, you can talk over us at any time too. You can be like,
Oh,
hey guys.
you giving me permission?
Yes. As a
Wow,
man,
a man.
as a
a
man,
woman
in a
permission to
position of
talk.
power.
Look, I get you're tall, but
Listen, I'm gonna
but-
lock these doors behind you.
what? No, he just pushed the button.
Oh god.
Imagine the guy who had to install that. And it's like,
Why would
What do you need this
that?
for?
Why would you do that?
Why would you? Oh, I don't. It's just a gag for.
Because like even like
my
the
God.
harmless answer is like, oh, sometimes I want to lock the door so I can like masturbate.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
What else do you need
So,
to
Like
lock
you
the door
can't get up and
from
lock your own
desk?
door.
Sometimes I need extreme privacy.
Oh my God. You can't get up with your dick in your hand and lock the door.
Mm-hmm.
Is
You
what
don't even
I
have to
would've
put your dick
said.
in your hand yet.
Also, does it lock?
You can like put
You
it back
could.
in your pants and walk over to the.
So,
or
like, the thing
you
you
can
can
wait
put-
till you get home like the rest of us do, and
You son of a bitch.
fucking look up the Berlin Wall and
It's
get
just
off.
weird that it was like it locks it for the people in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's I hadn't even really thought about that until now. Like that's a very special
You
kind
can't-
of
you can't get
thing
out.
that you're putting on a door.
He's
Yeah,
like a
you can't
Batman
get out.
villain.
Yes.
Oh wait. Speaking of Get Out, the brother, Get Out brother,
Yes.
the one who like talks like this and like.
Yeah, the Get Out brother was
Oh, yeah,
advertiser. Man.
So, was he beat up? Do you think because he was the one who approved the billboards, and at that time Sam Rockwell thought
Definitely.
that he was
Definitely.
the reason why? Okay,
It was that. I think there was a little bit of.
blind fucking rage too.
I think there was a little bit of like homophobic undertones.
Okay,
kind of
thank
like an
you.
American Beauty type thing. Like I
Yes.
think we were supposed to get that like Sam Rockwell was a closeted homosexual,
Yeah.
and that's where some of his rage was coming from.
really.
I got that.
That's what I got. 'Cause
I got
they,
so
they
many
kept
vibes.
bringing up like anytime they would bring up like racism, they would also bring up like the fags,
Yeah.
the fags. They brought up all the time in this movie. And I think that was intentional. And then they have the one line or the one scene where he's talking to his mom, and she's like, "Where are you going? You going
Yeah.
on like a big fancy date?" And he says something, and then she says something like. I know you're not going on a fancy date with like a girl, like kind of hinting like, oh, you would go on a fancy date with a guy
Yeah,
instead.
Napoleon Dynamite. What was she in Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, she's
Thank you. Why?
she's also. I
Was I the
noticed
only
her
one who
more
thought
from
that right away?
It's
It's Always Sunny. She's
yeah.
Mac's
Right,
mom
true. What is she, the aunt or something?
in Napoleon Dynamite.
yeah,
Yeah,
she-
Something.
Or the grandma?
the one who's on the
even.
dune buggy.
On the dune buggy, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I wanted to see if anyone else got the vibe that I did.
but and we don't have to like close out the discussion of this yet. But I do want to get back to and kind of wrap it back around to score or just ratings of this movie, critics and overall or whatever. And this film has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is A, problematic, and B, I think it speaks volumes about the lack of women and people of color in the critical establishment. I don't know. I just like
you don't
why,
say.
like I think it's I don't know. Like every like negative review that was like top critic on Rotten Tomatoes was like a woman. There was like one and it said, in some ways watching this film is like reading those alt-right fashion profiles of Richard Spencer that insisted we overlook his campaign of quiet terror and find common ground with him. Nope. And that was by April Wolf of The Village Voice.
Okay.
And I was just like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, like it's possible to show nuance to fucked up or evil characters in film, but this is not the way to do it. Like to make them quirky and lovable, like Dixon's character is, and then to give him a redemption arc where, like, I like the redemption arc maybe in like a different movie, but not this one. Like there's stuff that's in here that doesn't feel ripe for jokes and humor yet. It doesn't feel like something to be made light of, and I don't think they even make light of it in a good way. Like I didn't really laugh a whole lot in this movie as much as I wanted to. Like again, I think a lot of the good lines were spoiled in the trailer. I think a lot of the dialogue is really clunky. Like especially
Yes,
times when like
definitely.
Dixon is talking, and that's kind of fine because I think that's part of his performance is like not really talking so good, and he's drunk a lot of the time as well.
Or Frances McDormand when she's talking to like the priest and she goes on that whole anecdote about like the Bloods and the Crips, and I was just kind of like,
and the priest
like
priest
this,
and the boys.
yeah, I was like, this feels like very like screenwriting 101 kind
Yeah.
of ish. Like, and I feel like he's better than this because he is like a well-respected playwright. And my God, have you seen this screenplay for In Bruges? It's brilliant. Like,
In Bruges is one of my favorite movies.
yeah,
It's
like
incredible.
that's why this movie's so painful to watch.
Yeah.
I never saw Seven Psychopaths, but Amy,
I wouldn't say I wouldn't
didn't
say
look
painful.
like something I wanted to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't say painful, but it was kind of like you walk out and you're like, what the fuck did I just see? And it was one of those where you wanted it to be like this, actually. You wanted it to be much better than it was, but the performances were so good that it made you think it was a better movie
there's a lot
than
of
it really
people.
was. Yeah.
I really hated Woody Harrelson in this movie.
I was somewhere in between.
This is in your notes, but I just wanted to bring this up.
Jesus Christ.
It's never established why or how Woody Harrelson's dating a beautiful young Australian model. She has to be at least 20 plus years younger than him. Like, why can't older men in movies be married to someone before they graduate college? Like, who were born before they graduate?
Why does she have to, like, the accent was super confusing.
Yeah,
like,
why is she in Missouri?
In a small
when everyone
town,
else has like a Missouri accent and like this, kind of country folk accent.
It's like a one-horse town.
And then for her, like, I
and
spent
also,
half
why
of
the
her
fuck would you move to Missouri?
with Woody Harrelson. I spent half of her lines just trying to figure out what the accent was, so I missed a lot of what she was saying.
My first note was.
And she's such an unimportant character that it's like we don't need, like, it didn't provide any depth to her to her character.
Wow,
so it was just unimportant and unnecessary and confusing and distracting.
Yeah, my first note, English wife, and then on like the third to last page it said Australian wife.
There's a lot of dialogue with him and her that was really clunky too. I'm trying to remember what it was. The weird like flirting scene with them, like before he goes to kill himself.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'm gonna take my daughters out to play by the lake.
She's like,
while I
you
have
got
sex
a nice
with my
cock.
wife.
What?
Oh yeah, like
cool.
that
You're
was
nasty.
bad.
You're
Yeah,
nasty.
that reeked to me
Ugh.
of like a college kid's like screenplay.
Yeah.
And then especially I really hated his suicide letters. Like
Me too.
it I'm trying to like put into
It
words.
really derailed
what-
the movie too. Like,
Yeah.
or just
he's not a good narrator.
He was kind of reading it like, "Hey, it's me, it's old Woody."
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like I can imagine like a college kid trying to write those suicide letters, and like when you're in college and you just want to turn like every cliche on its head, and you end up just kind of falling into a different cliche itself of like horrible screenwriting.
Speak
That's what
for
it feels like. It
yourself.
feels like someone.
I didn't write in
every
college.
screenplay I've wrote with. I never wrote a
I
screenplay.
always stuck to the cliches. Yeah, it just felt like it wouldn't have been. They had to make every like line in the suicide letter like funny
Yeah.
and clever and witty. And it's like, I don't really think that's how people write suicide
I
letters.
think of this as a chess game.
Oh
Yeah, it was
my
just kinda
god!
like,
Shut the
okay.
fuck up.
Yeah, and it ended up kind of like taking away from like his suicide. And like the whole fact that they made it like this sort of like noble thing of like, oh, I didn't want to force you to like, I don't think anyone who feels that way has that kind of like, presence of mind kills themselves.
Yeah.
Like, if you were that, smart and clever and witty and, not depressed, then you probably, you would just suck it up and stick it out until you, croaked of
Right.
natural causes. Like, it just seemed kind of insensitive to suicide and mental illness to just be like, oh yeah, he'll just go out in the barn and like kill himself because the
Yeah.
plot needs it.
And also, he was probably like filming 3 or 4 movies at the time. But like, how much harder would it be to just shave the rest of his hair
Oh my god!
to look like an actual cancer patient?
It wouldn't have been
Like,
hard.
because like it's like that could have been like, oh, maybe that's just Woody Harrelson's character in this movie is he's bald.
Cops
and
are bald.
And then the he's basically bald now. Like, but
Yeah.
he has like this weird, hair around, just old man hair. He should be dating 20-year-old Australian models.
I mean, I got so many questions.
Yes. He's like, I'm 26. My wife should be being born right now. Like,
Even more awkward is the like sex stuff that he puts in the suicide letter.
Hated it. That's not how a man should talk to your wife. Mike Uhas, if you're listening, you're getting married in 20-some days. Don't do that shit.
don't fucking do
I didn't
that
like it.
shit.
Made me so uncomfortable.
Don't dirty talk in a suicide letter.
Yeah. Especially so like logistically too. He was like, "You on top of me" or something.
Me
Like, no, just
inside
make it
you,
sound
and
cute at least. God.
I got a nice dick.
Yeah. Ew.
I don't want to think about Woody Harrelson's penis.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be pretty good. I don't know how else he'd get an Australian
he's just
to Missouri.
and again, like, they really try to champion this character through like all those suicide notes. They try to make him likable. They try to play like the whole sympathy thing. But all I can think of is just like his character not being nuanced at all and just kind of being like, police officers abuse black guys. It's just kind of like,
and in that scene,
that's
he's like-
how it goes.
He's like, if we got rid of every cop that was like mildly racist, then there'd be no cops on the force. or the other ones like would hate fags or whatever. And it was just like there was a lot of stuff that was like, yeah, I'm not rooting for that character either.
Yeah.
And, and like right after he said that, they like put like an audio track of like, and it was just
Yep.
yeah.
That happened.
And then everyone in the theater's like, we clap at that, right?
94
Big set pieces.
So charming. Yeah, and
Please come back home, brothers. Everyone's been doing a really weird impression of you guys lately.
they pushed a button. We don't know how to get out.
Aren't they doing it?
Matt Lauer locked us in this theater.
Aren't they doing a TV show or something? I feel like they're working on something.
Oh, they are.
I'm sure they're doing.
Shit, I don't know.
Yeah,
what it is.
Fargo, right? Oh no, that was somebody that.
Oh.
Yeah, that was somebody that they're not involved with, and they don't like that TV show. But yeah, I don't know. That might be a lot of what I
mean, we haven't talked about. I think the last thing we haven't talked about is just the actual ending itself.
Oh,
where nothing's resolved.
yeah. I
I
mean,
fucking-
what?
Hated that shit.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at CGI deer, or you want to start later than that? Because we can go back.
CGI deer was just the icing on top
Jesus
of
Christ.
the movie already being bad.
You're pretty, but you ain't her. I even hated that line in the trailer.
Oh, I didn't see that in the trailer. I don't think the CGI deer's in the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have been warned.
I know.
They're trying to warn me.
I know.
I'm trying to remember how that whole ending. I guess he finds out that it's not that guy.
Right.
I'm having trouble connecting the dots. All I can remember is them.
They-
I guess he calls her to tell her.
And they also imply that he's going to commit suicide, like the way that he's
Yes.
holding the rifle, which I was like, this is going to be some sort of ruse. It is.
Spoiler alert. It was a
Yeah, they wouldn't have
ruse.
two suicides in one movie.
Yeah.
It's too many.
Also, why would he do that? He's on his redemption arc.
Yeah.
He's a good guy
know.
now, remember, guys?
And he's
Sure.
smart now.
Sure
Yeah,
he
and
is.
polite and
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, basically he's just like, he wasn't the guy, but we know that he's a rapist and he's done some bad things.
which is he?
Hearsay
Or was he just
conjecture.
telling like a folk tale,
Yeah,
like kind
a
of thing?
tall tale.
Is he just like a
It's a bar trick.
or is he just literally a guy in the military who's like a little mentally deranged and likes to
Yeah, that's what my
terrorize
fiance said. He's probably got
grieving mothers
PTSD.
and also is a pathological liar
He's probably got
because
PTSD.
I don't know, the conclusion that Sam Rockwell and the screenplay tries to push on you is like, whatever he didn't do it in this country, kind of. And I was just kind of like, or did he do it at all?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to kill
Yeah.
a fucking innocent man? Like,
well, then they don't even come to like a conclusion on that, and then I don't.
Right.
I mean, that's fine. Like, not every movie has to have a concrete ending, but at least has to emote a feeling. And I don't know what I'm supposed to garner from that ending of like, I hate the performance of both of them in that last scene.
yeah.
And I think that speaks to the screenplay being shit in that last scene, is that they don't know what to do with lines that are like, "Hey Dixon, how are you feeling about this? Going to kill this guy?" I don't know. Me either.
I guess
Roll
we'll figure it out when
credits.
we
Yeah.
get there or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also like they have this odd couple dynamic because it's a fucking odd couple that would never happen in a million years.
Yeah.
Like of what's happening, like in the climate of this town and the relationship between them. Like it's just kind of, I don't know. Like it's not like
And just there was
circumstances
no-
brought us together. It was just kind of like, no, this is fucking stupid. Why are these? I don't know.
There was no like resolution with her son at all. Like
No.
that seemed like that should have been a bigger storyline. Like, you know, like, yeah, you lost a daughter, but you still have me here, and I'm going through some shit at school because of these billboards. Like, why did we not have like an argument with them where she was gonna, you know, kind of forced to make this decision between this weird path that she's going down and taking care of her son by not putting him in harm's way
Yeah.
by, you know, being in the public eye in that way.
You should type in 3 billboards, whatever the full movie's name is, in IMDb, and the plot description should be: everyone around Frances McDormand's character is telling her that she's wrong, but she never veers away from what she's doing. 3 billboards. Like, because, like, it
Write it
literally,
in.
it's like
Yeah.
everyone telling her how wrong she is, and then her being like,
Shit, oh shit, oh shit.
ah, fuck you,
Oh, you're
pussy.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I don't know. Look it up. Idaho's pretty far from Missouri. So what? She's just back to the son. She's just gonna leave her son. Maybe he's better off. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she does. I mean, she gives him she gives him like the last look while he is sleeping.
Because they're definitely going to jail.
Yeah.
If they do this. I don't know. Again, this entire film is Frances McDormand learning how her misplaced anger negatively affects every character in this movie, and she never does anything about it. And that's like bugs me so hard.
And see, like it might have been all right if like, you know, like I think we kind of come to the conclusion by the end of the movie that like her putting these billboards up was, you know, strange and weird, but like it wasn't really a good decision. Like it wasn't the best way to go about it, and she was probably in the wrong. Right. You know, even though she had sort of, you know, righteous feelings behind her, it was not the right way to go about it. And like, you know, I would have been fine with an ending that was like, you know, she may not have solved anything with her daughter's murder, but she was able to sort of, you know, kind of light a fire under the police force in this town and, you know, at least make some changes for the positive for people of color in this area, which is what I thought based on the trailer this movie was kind of going to be, like that it was going to be, you know, this inciting force that, you know, changed things.
And process her grief in a more positive way where, again, she is not, I don't know, she's just a better caretaker for her son. Maybe she fucking warns the 19-year-old girl who is now sleeping with her fucking
abusive. Yeah,
you're just kind of,
rather than looking at it as like, oh, you're with a younger girl.
Yeah, exactly. Like, help her.
I'm jealous. She's so much more. No, get the fuck out! Like, he's gonna kill you probably. Yeah, and I thought that was what was going to happen. Like, I kind of saw that turn coming when she's after Peter Dinklage leaves. Sitcom audience goes wild because we're all laughing at how short he is.
Yeah.
When she's walking towards him with the wine bottle.
Can I say real quick?
Go for it, yeah.
This lady in front of me, when she was walking, they make it look super, like, nefarious, kind of. She's going to do something. The lady in front of me says, she's like, oh, when will she stop?
The Greek chorus in Amy's theater.
And she was right in front of me. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. And then she did stop. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Joe. Tell them what she did.
No, but she's walking menacingly. And this is in the trailer, too, with the bottle of wine. And, like, he, like, even is smiling, giddy, and then, like, you just see, like, the blood leave his face. And it's, like, it's a great scene, kind of, because he's just about to, like, bite into his burger or whatever. And then, like, when she gets over there, she's just kind of like, I want you guys to have this bottle of wine.
When will she stop?
And then, like, also something along the lines of, like, you better take care of her or something, instead of kind of, like, you know, like, if I hear that you ever touch her, like, I'm going to come back with this fucking wine bottle and smash your fucking brains in. Like, you know, like, that's very in line with her character, kind of. She, again, like, she lost her daughter, and she's still, like, she should be trying to protect this fucking 19-year-old girl who's not that much older than her daughter, who is just fucking physically abused too. She should be like, I gotta prevent my ex-husband who abused me from, you know, I don't know, this girl who doesn't know what she's getting into, and she obviously can't think for herself because she's fucking ditzy beyond reality, kind of. You know, it's just kind of like, no, that literally should have been the line. Like, it was just, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't really tie anything up in this movie. I can't think of anything that I was, like, satisfied with where the conclusion went.
Why does this have a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes? What the fuck? I don't know. Like, the only thing I can think of is, like, critics are like, I already said it. It was just like, there's a lot of cool set pieces. It's got some interesting cinematography. It's aesthetically pleasing. There's some great parts. It's got a CGI deer. It's like a little, like, reminiscent of, like, Tarantino, even, like, on top of the Coen Brothers stuff.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, it was fun.
And white guys love that shit. They eat it up. And yeah, I mean,
it missed a lot of the marks that In Bruges hit. Where, like, In Bruges had this kind of like, it was putting the comedy first, and then the drama came, and the drama hit harder because you had been laughing at, like, you know, really clever, actually witty punchlines rather than just vulgarity for the sake of vulgarity or like political incorrectness throughout the movie. And In Bruges had better like zaniness to it, and like they even did kind of use like Peter Dinklage as like a punchline in Bruges.
Definitely.
But it worked to greater effect, and you even had greater sympathy for him in Bruges than in this movie. Like everything is just so sloppy and not tied up in this movie, and it just doesn't even seem like the same person wrote it.
I wanted to like this movie, and I think I even said to you guys that I came out of this movie being like, yeah, it was pretty good. Like I even like came home. Savory was talking earlier to Amy. She's like, yeah, you should like show me the trailer. It looked like pretty good. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then like, I guess I saw this 2 days ago. And the past 2 days, I've just been like processing it. I've been like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, I've been bamboozled.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I did not think it was good, and I was like, these things are problematic. And then I started watching like the interviews with the director, and he was just kind of like, racist, like America isn't that racist, like that's just a thing, like it was just
just a location that I picked, in Missouri.
You're gonna pick Missouri.
I mean, in his defense, I think this started happening before all of the like more
bigger
broadcasted
cases,
or whatever, but like he just never thought like, hey, maybe I should take this part out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was just kind of like, just
maybe give some more story and backstory to some of the black characters in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Jerome,
Jerome,
whose name I
yes.
wrote down.
Yeah.
Thinking he would be, you know.
He's got the same American Apparel hoodie I do.
Oh, shit. No fucking way.
Man. So that's what I took out of this movie.
Well, I forgot to write that down, but I believe you.
Yeah, I didn't like this just from the start. Like,
I don't know.
I went in really wanting to like it.
This honestly, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know what to rate.
I'm still kind of coming to grips with like I had really high expectations coming in, and it met kind of nothing that I thought it was going to be.
It's really,
and it didn't satisfy anything that I was looking for. It was weird because I saw this week it was Lady Bird and this, and like Lady Bird, I wasn't really expecting to like. I mean, I had high expectations. Just because of the reviews, or at least I was curious and intrigued by it, and I thought it had a good trailer. But I was kind of like, that's probably not going to be for me. I ended up fucking loving Lady Bird. And this, I was like, oh, this was probably one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Just from liking In Bruges that much, thinking it had a great trailer, great cast, great concept. And then it was just very disappointing to watch.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you used the word bamboozled.
I was bamboozled.
Because I just literally, before I rolled up here, I came out of the theater, and I think I was just very charmed by the physical theater that I was in, and by the lady in front of me.
I could still see like the wheels like churning in your head. When I was like, Amy, like over the past 2 days, I don't think I like this movie anymore. And you're like, yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Like it was just kind of like you're still like it's very fresh for you. It's a little less fresh for me. So yeah.
When I see a movie, I usually see it with my fiance, who love him, but he's not like, he doesn't know as much about what goes on before you make a movie. He doesn't know really what to do, and so he's less critical.
Okay.
So when I talked to him about movies, and we talked to it for like 10 minutes before I left, and he was like, you know, saying all the good things that he really liked about it. And that's like kind of all he does when he talks about movies, because he doesn't know what the bad things are. So that's what I left with. I left with all the good things that I remembered about it. But then even some of those good things, he was kind of saying it like inquisitively, like that was kind of cool.
I think I'm supposed to like it.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's what he thinks. Yeah, he can tell when it's like on a higher level that he thinks is beyond him. So he assumes that it's supposed to be good.
I think that's the
bamboozled.
I think, I mean, to try and hit on something deeper is, I think that's the importance of this podcast, and I think that's the importance of like everybody at home, like Mike and I, like come here and we say our scores or whatever, but that doesn't mean that our opinions don't change. Like I've had drastic changes, like in my mind. I think it's very healthy. I think it's very healthy to see a film and be like, oh, I really liked that, and then hate it later, or oh, I fucking hated that, and then really, I think I'll talk about that in Lady Bird later, because there's films related to that I've made 180s on, like Frances Ha. I fucking hated that movie with Greta Gerwig, and then like that's one of my favorite movies ever. But I don't know. Yeah, keep a fucking open mind. Films that you like. This is a film that I think is disguised as like something you should like, but then if you look a little closer, you're like, there's some very problematic shit in this. Like, it is not only just structurally fucked, it's politically and emotionally fucked too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
And there's just not really much going on there underneath the surface.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they make it seem like there should be, because they
Right.
bring ideas up, but they don't do anything with the ideas.
Which
like,
when
you
I
can't just
think-
be like, police brutality exists.
Yeah.
We're an important movie. Like, you have to discuss it, and you have
Exactly.
to have a stance on it and take an opinion on it, and just try to, do something with it in the movie.
Yeah. Immediately when I left, I was like, there was something deeper there. And then, the drive, I was just like, looking at my notes. There's nothing. Napoleon
cover all your
Dynamite
notes?
Grandma. That is my note.
Yeah, did we cover everything in your notes? Is there anything else you want to talk about before we
wait,
get into fingers?
Did the dad burn down the billboards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, fat little Mexican boys. Wrote that down.
He is the one who delivered the cash.
Thank you for
But
remembering.
it was
yeah,
really
I mean,
Woody Harrelson, and this is just another chess move in my suicide.
yeah, I just
What?
I'm really clever and witty.
yeah. I would also try to touch on like news reporting, sensationalized
Yep.
news,
Mhm.
but like
Coulda-
it just
coulda
scratched
fucking-
it.
yep,
It just scratched it. So yeah. I wrote turtle because it was crawling across the grandma's lap or the mom's lap.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was funny. So
And-
there's
and
that. That's
there was
gag.
also like a red herring of she's gonna wake up and see him and be like, "Hey, don't kill yourself," kind of.
Yeah.
And it was just, that plays well in the trailer, and I think that plays well in the movie. Maybe it doesn't play as well, but like when they're doing the second news report and she's like driving by and she's like, "It doesn't change shit."
Yeah.
Like, even though she is very lewd. And that's the punchline.
Yeah.
Is that it's an older woman saying cuss words, kind of. But it's very funny, and it's
that
just
one
kind of
landed
like,
for me.
yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. It's a good scene. All the scenes in the trailer really great. It's the problem is, yeah, you can make a really great trailer out of this movie. The problem is you get to structure, you get to content, and it really falls apart.
Message.
Yeah.
You know what scene I didn't really get? Like, I couldn't tell if they were trying to say something subtly,
Okay.
or if they were just trying to give us a glimpse kind of behind the scenes. But they have the one scene like after Woody Harrelson kills himself in the police station in the bathroom when Sam Rockwell and the other cop are like crying on each other. And I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like they were gay with each other, or if that was just supposed to be like police officers can cry too.
I think that was.
It was a little long and uncomfortable, and not clear what they were
I
trying
think
to
it was
say
like-
with that.
I don't think that
it
was
was just
gay.
for Sam Rockwell
think it
to
was
see
Sam
how
Rock-
unstable that made him.
It was,
But the other guy was crying too, and they were both crying like on each other.
but I think
So then, if it's not, then the idea has to be like police officers can cry too.
right. Well, I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
I think everyone in the police station was crying, and then he takes out Dr. Dre's Beats headphones, and he says,
Sponsored.
"What's going on out here?" And then because everyone else is crying, and then they tell him, and I think his image is a little too masculine for him to cry out in the open, and he's kind of definitely on a spectrum where I think he needs to, and like he's emotionally unstable, and I think he needs to go to like a bathroom kind of. Who is that he's with? His performance, he has like really great comedic delivery and timing. And again, in the trailer, and she's like, "Hey, dickhead," or something, and he's like, "What?" And he's like, "What? You don't say what to see. She just called you a dickhead, Dixon." Like his delivery.
Some of those scenes
really
were a little clunky. Like I like the idea behind them, but I just felt like the actual rhythm.
It didn't go as smoothly as they wanted it to. I think.
But comedic acting, I think that was the pinnacle of this movie. Is his delivery.
His character confused me because I thought he could have been. Like, they could have had him be, like, the one good cop in there.
Yes.
But then they have the scene where he's interrogating Welby, and he's almost just as brutal as, like, Dixon is.
Yeah.
So then when he says stuff later on about, like, he's insane.
He's the only person who questions Woody Harrelson about why does he still have a job here after what he did.
Yeah, so then I'm confused because he's kind of a dick cop, too, to that kid. Like, and kind of just being, like, the personal arm of, like, Chief Willoughby, you know, kind of abusing his power.
Right.
You know, there's no legal stance they really have to be there.
None of these
questioning that
They're
kid.
just all
make
trash.
any sense.
They're just probably all white trash. No offense.
I take offense to that because I am white trash.
I'm only
anybody have
68% white. So.
4% black. She can comment on. Okay.
No, I'll tell you some details later.
But
What was that?
I don't know.
Little shriek.
Is that
You have cats in here?
Did you hear that again?
Yeah.
It's outside. It's outside.
What is that?
I don't know.
All right, let's finish this so we can go and
No, bring the mic.
investigate.
So does anybody
Spooky.
have any sort of? I'm
not sure where
What
to
is
rate
there
this.
to? Oh, a rating?
If you guys could hear, it sounds like a small dog shrieking.
It kind of sounds like Kanye in the one.
Oh my
What's
God,
the
it
song?
Holy shit! It's getting closer.
You know what song I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yo, copyright. Careful. Copyright.
This is my theme. So it's cut off because SoundCloud only allows, I think, like 15 seconds at a time
my
of
God.
copyrighted music.
Like
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
just one little
I had
yelp.
so many bits ready.
Oh yeah, where are you going to?
Are you ready for fingers?
Yeah, I'm ready for fingers. Amy, do you want to go first since Mike and I are so
I
indecisive?
got fingers.
And I feel like we've really run the gamut on how Rotten Tomatoes has given a 94.
Right. Well, also, I don't know if you give a shit about the IMDb ratings, but right now it has the same as Lady Bird, which I found super intriguing. I have not seen Lady Bird, but what is that? It's getting closer. I'm gonna give it a. It's getting more
guys, I'm so
frequent and closer.
Guys, if you can hear this,
Please call my mom and let her know I'm.
The last
I don't know if I'll be
recorded
okay.
podcast. It's gonna be a found audio podcast.
It's a demon.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll give you. I will give you 2 fingers because those. Oh my God. You know the mic is picking up on that. Don't open the window. Careful, Joe.
I don't know. I can't tell.
It sounds like a cat.
We have to.
Maybe it is a cat.
We have to work through.
You have feral cats?
I
can't even say that
Maybe
on the
it's like
street.
maybe it's a feral cat like in heat. Like the cats.
There's no cats in here for you to mate with. Go away.
It sounds.
I think it's gone.
Well, I mean, we're on the 2nd floor. I don't think it was crawling the building.
But like
There's a cat on the next
cats
floor.
in heat sound like they're being hurt, kind of. You know, like maybe.
No, I
it's
don't
a
know.
Cat being fucked. I don't know.
All right. What? Wow.
They sound more like they're crying though. Then
Guys.
Yeah, no, that was kind of doggish.
Anyway.
Everybody hates us who's listening to this. They're like, I don't care.
You should care. We almost lost our lives. All right. Anyway, I gave 2 fingers.
2 fingers.
Because, and I think, honestly, even when I left the theater, I would have given it 2 fingers. Mm-hmm. That's not to say there weren't moments that I enjoyed. That's not to say I didn't leave the theater liking it.
Right.
I still would have given it 2 fingers because I didn't love it and I didn't really gain anything from it. But I really did enjoy a lot of the performances and Sam Rockwell's Bay, so I enjoyed his performance a lot. Otherwise, it was a little vapid for me. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I didn't even connect the fact that a lot of the racism and social points that they were trying to make didn't connect.
Takes a while to digest.
Yeah. I'm still digesting. So I would, too.
I have like acid reflux.
I got a little bit of reflux, so it's coming back up a little bit, but it's going to be 2. That'll be a 2.
Now that brave Amy has
good luck.
stepped forward and said her piece, I'm going to be a total... I don't know. I think I also have to give it 2 fingers because, again, I think I like this movie. I left this theater and I said, oh, I like this movie. It wasn't like a strong like. Yeah. It wasn't a perfect movie by any means. But then, again, I did have this revelation. I had a little acid reflux, maybe.
It's coming back up.
Yeah, it's coming back up. I'm thinking about it again. I said... wow, really nothing was resolved in this movie. Why did we use fucking police brutality and domestic abuse as a fucking just quirky little character thing? Yeah, so not like how many fingers is on the Rotten Tomatoes radar really, but I think that I have to go below average, which is, I mean, I guess 2.5 would be middle of the road. I have to go below middle of the road, or like it's just somebody has to take some fucking responsibility.
Yeah, Marty.
Comment on like all the dumb shit that happens in this film, and people are probably like, "Oh, I thought you guys were probably gonna give it a 0 or something." Again, there are definitely parts of this movie that I like. All of my notes are literally negative. But I don't know. There's a lot of this movie that I liked. I mean, we did talk about positive things during this, right?
There are definitely things that I enjoyed. Just not as many as I wanted to.
I can't, in good faith, give this a positive or even neutral score. I have to go negative. So I'm going to go with 2 fingers, too. What about you, Mike?
I'm just going to read the Rotten Tomatoes because I forgot to do that at the beginning.
Shit.
On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 94% based on 175 reviews and an average rating of 8.7 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri deftly balances black comedy against searing drama and draws unforgettable performances from its veteran cast along the way. I don't really agree with any of that.
No.
I don't think it does balance black comedy and drama well. Because I think when you have that good balance, you're laughing a lot, and then it makes the serious points hit more hard. You know, they really strike you more to your core.
It's what, I don't know, maybe the Coen brothers do pretty well.
Yeah, and this was kind of like, it was more drama than comedy, I thought. Or at least I wasn't laughing at the parts I was supposed to laugh at as much. And then, like, it would make the parts that were undeniably funny stick out like sore thumbs. Like the ditzy 19-year-old girlfriend of... what's his face, John Hawkes. And then a lot of the jokes, you know, were meant to be funny, and even if I understood what the punchline sort of was, I was uncomfortable laughing at them. Right. A lot of like the sort of unpolitically correct humor that was in this. And I could maybe forgive that in a movie where it seemed like they were just trying to be like, well, this is what small town life is like, and that's fine if you're not trying to like forgive that kind of like viewpoint, you know. It's all right to take an honest look at something, but you also have to be honest in your looking at it. And that's also how I feel about like the police brutality stuff and like this. Like, they kind of just brushed all that under the rug. They had a lot of lines that were just like Woody Harrelson's line of like, well, you know, if I got rid of every racist cop, then I wouldn't have anybody left on the force. Like, that's just a really shitty like line to have in a movie. Like, or at least to have that line and not have like a retort to it, either thematically or, you know, literally in that scene. So I just thought it was irresponsible in certain ways. And it didn't live up to the expectations that I had for it, both from the director and just from what it seemed like it was presenting. But there are stuff I like. I like Sam Rockwell's performance a whole lot in this movie. I think there's a lot of nuance to it. And I think he portrays it really well. I really like Frances McDormand's performance. I don't like Woody Harrelson or pretty much anyone else in this movie, their performance. So I'm going to give it 2 fingers as well.
Do the math.
It
What
does
does that average out to?
I spent like a whole long time trying to get up the spreadsheet, so I should calculate that. Didn't even need it.
Hey.
Nice.
So that'll come out to 2 fingers from the podcast. What are we going to do?
Wah, wah.
I don't know.
What are you going to do when your
There's not much you
girlfriend
can do.
Googles Berlin Wall?
Get a
Yeah,
Caesar
I was
salad.
about to, this is hard. But I just want to reach out there to my girlfriend. I'm using your laptop during this fucking podcast, and I open up Wikipedia to look at the movie, and I see that you've been searching for the Berlin Wall. The
You
fuck are you
busted.
fucking cheating on me?
You busted.
Fucking bitch! And thank you.
And see.
And
See.
that was directed by Martin McDowell.
McDowell?
There's a lot of racist and domestic abuse undertones in that, and I think that's what makes it important.
I would say so.
And a great piece of cinema, and 94 on Rotten Tomatoes.
There you go.
Thank you.
We're workshopping it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So if you agree or disagree either with this bit or with our review of the movie in general, you can leave a comment below on SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're listening and or watching. Hopefully we'll get those videos back up soon. I'm trying to catch up on all the stockpile of movies we haven't edited in a while. While my PC was, I can get through it. I can do this.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Let's run through some links and let's go investigate this dying cat outside because
I'm not going out there.
it stopped.
I hope Demon Cat is dead.
Yeah, it's a fucking demon cat.
Because, yeah.
He's gone back to hell where he
Scaling the
belongs.
walls.
Send him back to hell.
But follow us on Snapchat at HMF Podcast. Maybe we'll go snap as we go investigate Demon Cat. Subscribe to our YouTube. Watch our clips playlist on loop on mute so that we can get our plays back up to 10,000. Get those ads back and external links and all that.
Fuck you, YouTube.
Fuck you,
Yeah,
YouTube.
fuck that.
But go to our YouTube.
But go there too.
Yeah, go give them
some
ad
place,
revenue. Go to howmanyfingerspodcast.com for pretty much everything else. We got our iTunes link where you can subscribe to us, rate us, review us, and click on that. Anything you purchase within 24 hours within that window, we'll get a nice little cut of after clicking that link. You can subscribe to our mailing list on MailChimp on there. Make sure you do that because if we do live episodes, we keep saying this, eventually we are going to do a giveaway when someone subscribes to the mailing list.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Of these koozies. Nice little segue.
These are nice koozies.
Koozies.
Quality koozies. We've got them in 10 colors too.
This is a nice forest green.
That is the actual color.
Exactly what it is.
Oh my god, wow.
Nailed it.
It's just in time for Christmas. Or whatever holiday you celebrate.
We're non-denominational.
Non-denominational.
Yeah.
And they support women now.
Now we've decided to change our policy on women.
We've really
now
made
we
a-
support them.
We've really made a 180 this week.
Kind of like Sam Rockwell.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Kind of.
Just
Where it doesn't really mean
out of the
anything.
blue. Doesn't really resolve
Someone
any of
wrote
our-
me a letter, so I'm going to change my entire philosophy on policing. That's really all we need to do to solve police brutality is just send suicide letters to cops that say,
It's not a bad
It's a
idea.
shame.
try loving people
Yeah.
instead. Have you tried that?
It's a shame he couldn't tell me that while he was still alive. Would have saved a whole lot of folks a whole lot of trouble.
Shit, why'd you say
Could
that?
have told
I
me in
hadn't
the
even
5 years
thought
that
of
we
that.
worked together.
Oh my god, I hadn't even thought of that.
Oh, man.
Man, that is stupid.
Yeah.
You're going to lower your score.
Fuck.
We got some more merch. We got t-shirts, koozies, and stickers. All three in a package deal for $11.99. You can find that at howmanyfingerspodcast.bigcartel.com. And finally, our Amazon link on our website. Click on that. Anything you purchase on Amazon as you're doing your Christmas shopping, maybe, or birthday shopping.
Or
if
Hanukkah,
someone-
or whatever you celebrate.
Or Kwanzaa. Or... No, it's a Christmas podcast. It's a war on Christmas.
Demon Cat's in on it.
But yeah, anything you purchase after clicking that Amazon link, we'll get a nice cut of. So easy way to support the podcast without going too far out of your way. And I think that about does it for us.
Woo.
Amy, thank you so much for coming on. This was wonderful.
This was awesome.
Come back anytime.
Oh, I will. See you tomorrow.
Demon Cat.
I'll see you guys next episode.
Fuck, I should have said
I'll
that.
just be here like Kevin. I'll just like live here.
Like Kevin.
Just in the background of our episode.
Just sitting on the couch.
Doing stretches.
Oh, we should have brought that up earlier. I went to high school the same year with Kevin.
Yeah, I was about to say.
God, what a degenerate.
I think you're the third Cherokee alum to be on this podcast.
Yeah.
We've had Nick and Kevin. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I doubt you'll have any more.
Yeah, no, I don't want any more. My name's Joe.
I didn't go to my 10-year reunion.
You fuckers.
Nobody did. Nobody likes high school. Best years of your goddamn life.
Football and cheerleading and being cool.
Signing out. Here's the podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
And this is fun.